This is a 2018 F150, but I'm sure it applies to all aluminum bodies, 13th generation Fords. These things are built to have a radio installed. Alright, to run the wires through the firewall, I use the grommet that's located here just behind the brake pedal. This is actually really simple. Snip these zip ties there. Now what I'll do is I push this in. Okay, and I've done this a couple times with different projects. Kind of get it out of the way, and of course it's a lot easier to do with both hands, but we'll go single-handed for the purpose of the video. And then I'll pull the whole thing back towards me. And I am right-handed. I'm doing this with my left hand, so that's why it's a little bit harder. Okay, once you get everything through, you can actually see the other end, which has like a weather cover on it, and the zip tie there too. You can pull these wires out. Once you pop the hood open, you get a little bit more light. So snip the zip ties, use a coat hanger or something else, push your wires through. Once all your wires are through, put some more zip ties on, and everything's going to be weather tight, good as new. So it's an OEM type job, easy to do, a little bit tight in here. Just get comfortable and take your time, do it right, do some nice looming, tape everything up, just make it look good, and you won't have any problems. Alright, to put everything back in, it's just a reverse order. Start at one end, push everything out. Let me switch hands here so I actually have a chance of getting it done. So push that whole boot out of the way, everything. Okay, so push the whole boot, the whole assembly, all the way through. Now take your time. I usually like to start at the top, just so I can see what I'm doing. And then pull around until that outer ring here seats into the truck. And then it's back like it was from the factory. And there's that. Alright, so going under the hood, that part we saw was that little boot right there, little piece of rubber, and you can see all my wiring coming out of there. So here's my wiring. Alright, so I got all those wires pushed out. I got some other projects going on. This is a base model truck, and I'm trying to get the bed light, OEM bed lights to work. I ran my power, and while I was at it, I ran 3 separate wires just as pass-throughs. I think some of the Raptors come with pass-through wiring, or wish this truck did too. But that's alright, we can do that ourselves. It's easy enough. Alright, so the pass-through wiring, I have those going in a loom, and right now I just have them 3 wires. I have them zip tied here underneath the airbox for future use, whether that's a light bar, a winch, or who knows, anything you'd really want. And for the power wire, I tuck the wire neatly out of the way here, and I have it running up against the top here. And then on the back side of the firewall, then I have the wire coming out here. I purchased one of these circuit breakers. These are actually really neat. They cost just as much as a fuse. You can turn the power on, but you also have the option of easily turning it off. So if you're working on a project, you can easily turn that off, and power's off. You don't have to mess with this connection anymore. I bought some of this cloth tape that Ford uses on some of the other looming, just to try to match the look. I guess it looks okay. And then there's an existing location to secure the rest of the wiring there. Now underneath that black plug is a stud that looks just like that. See that little bit of plastic underneath there? I just used a little plastic strap, went around the wire and exited out of the bottom of the wire loom, and it fits in that hole perfectly. That wire is not going anywhere. So that's what it looks like with the loom removed, and then we just put the loom back on. Everything is covered up, secured from the weather. It looks good. Most people don't see anything there. They think it's all factory. Okay, so I used 6-gauge residential wire. I don't want to hear it. I've been using this wire in several different trucks for a number of years and never had an issue. It's a stranded wire. It's not a solid wire. It holds its shape once you train it, and it fits in here great. It's well protected, and it lasts. I don't have any issues with these wires. I did use 6-gauge wire, and I only put a 50 amp fuse. I just wanted to downrate a little bit to be safe. It's a very short run. Everything is soldered. Everything is tight. And where I couldn't solder, like these joints, I used some jelly to make sure there's no corrosion issues in the future. However you do it is up to you. I'm just showing you the way I did it on mine. So after I passed the wires, that 6-gauge wire through the firewall, I ran it up to the top of my fuse block. I used a piece of a square that I cut and drilled to secure it to the existing holes in the body that are already threaded. I used nuts on the top connection there to space it out because they weren't sitting on the same plane, but I wanted to make them nice and neat. Secured the fuse block to my bracket, and then right above there, that stud that comes out, that's actually a body ground. I connected the ground straight to that, and I just have a secondary ground here, just because. I just make sure you use good connections, solder, and heat shrink everything. Make sure everything's nice and proper. You don't want anything wiggling loose. This is a pretty nice block. Got it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below.